In the previous episode, we followed Wittgenstein to the very edge of philosophy, and we covered his Tractatus, in which Wittgenstein suggests that our philosophical problems arise from misunderstandings within our language. And hopefully, once our language is clarified, the problems can dissolve. And with that, Wittgenstein ends his book with the line which we covered last time, "Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent." And now we move into the next set of figures. And I want us all to imagine a group of philosophers reading Wittgenstein's Tractatus and deciding to take it absolutely seriously. Not that it shouldn't be taken seriously. Imagine philosophers who believe that philosophy should abandon speculation entirely and become a precise and scientific activity. The group of thinkers is what we call the Vienna Circle. And their goal, I think, is radical. They believe that most philosophy, especially metaphysics, was not merely mistaken, it is literally meaningless. But before we can get to that revolution, I want to briefly mention how I encountered this movement. Interestingly enough, it is not through analytic philosophy, it is actually through critical theory. And this is a text that I actually read just before I went to graduate school called Grand Hotel Abyss by Stuart Jeffries. And in this, it's interesting, reading about figures such as Adorno and Horkheimer, I got exposed to this thing called logical positivism, which I had no clue about, often thought of as the intellectual opponent to some critical theorists. And critical theorists believe that this scientific view of philosophy reduced human life to calculation and stripped philosophy of its deeper questions about society, freedom, and ultimately meaning. So naturally, that made me curious, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to think about it now. But who are these philosophers who believe that metaphysics should disappear? And to answer that question, we have to go into Vienna in the 20th century. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Popular Philosophy, where in this episode, we will be discussing the influence of the Vienna Circle. And that leads us to part one, Vienna and the scientific worldview. In the 1920s, Vienna, a group of philosophers, scientists, and mathematicians, began meeting regularly to discuss the foundations of science. The group gathered around philosopher Moritz Schlick, who had been appointed to the chair of Vienna in 1922. The circle included thinkers such as Rudolf Carnap, Otto Neurath, Hans Hahn, and Herbert Feigl. They did not think of themselves as traditional philosophers. Most of them were trained in physics, mathematics, or in logic, and their shared belief was that philosophy needed to become scientifically rigorous. So, in 1929, they published a short manifesto titled The Scientific Conception of the World, the Vienna Circle. This is a really interesting document. In that document, they argued that new philosophical outlooks were emerging, a worldview grounded in empirical science and logical clarity rather than in speculation. And the roots of the movement were diverse. They drew inspiration from empiricism of David Hume, which we covered a little bit, and John Stuart Mill, right? And they were influenced by modern physics, especially Einstein. They adopted revolutionary logic developed by Frege and Russell, and above all, they were deeply influenced by Wittgenstein's Tractatus. From these influences, they drew a powerful conclusion. Philosophy should not compete with science in describing the world. Instead, philosophy should clarify the logical structure of scientific language. Philosophy becomes, in their view, an activity of logical analysis. This idea may sound modest at first, but the consequences were explosive. And that leads us to part two, Carnap and the Elimination of Metaphysics. One of the most important members of the Vienna Circle was Rudolf Carnap. In 1932, Carnap publishes one of the most provocative essays in the 20th century. It is titled The Elimination of Metaphysics Through Logical Analysis of Language. Carnap's claim is simple and devastating. Metaphysical statements are not merely false, they are meaningless. And you can see what's going to happen from this. Carnap argued that the development of modern logic now allows philosophers to analyze language with great precision. And when we apply logical analysis to metaphysical claims, something strange happens. They collapse. Carnap writes that logical analysis reveals that the alleged statements of metaphysics to be pseudo-statements, And so, what does this mean? Carnap believes that the meaningful sentences must satisfy certain logical conditions. A meaningful statement must either be logically true, such as statements of mathematics and logic, or empirically verifiable, meaning it can be tested through observation. If a statement satisfies neither of these conditions, then it does not describe reality at all. It only appears to be meaningful. This idea became known as the verification principle. According to this principle, a sentence is meaningful if we can specify the conditions under which it would be true or false. And when Carnap applies the test to metaphysics, he concludes that metaphysical language fails. And again, I can't help but notice that there's a figure who covered something like this, Immanuel Kant. I'll leave that aside. Statements about the absolute, the essence of being, or the nature of the world as a whole cannot be empirically verified, nor are they logical truths. Therefore, Carnap concludes that they are not genuine statements about reality. They are linguistic illusions. Philosophy, in this view, should abandon metaphysics entirely. Instead, philosophy should become a logical clarification, again, of scientific language. And this was an astonishing claim. For centuries, philosophers believed that metaphysics was the highest form of philosophy. As Kant puts it in the First Critique, the queen of all sciences. The Vienna Circle believed that this is nonsense. And the story does not end there, because even within the scientific philosophy of the Vienna Circle, a problem soon appears. And that leads us to part 3, Popper and the crisis of verification. The Vienna Circle believed that science progresses by verifying theories through observation. But a young philosopher named Karl Popper, who I became familiar with through this text, noticed a problem. Popper pointed out something that philosophers had known since David Hume. No amount of observation can logically prove a universal law. You can observe thousands of white swans, but that never proves that all swans are white. The next swan could, theoretically speaking, be black. Popper writes that universal statements cannot logically be justified by experience. This is known as the problem of induction. If science relies on verification, then science can never truly prove its theories. Popper therefore proposed a radical alternative. Science does not verify theories. Science attempts to falsify them. A scientific theory is not valuable because it can be confirmed. It is valuable because it makes bold predictions that could potentially be proven wrong. For Popper, the hallmark of science is falsifiability. A scientific theory must expose itself to the possibility of its own refutation. Theories that cannot be tested in this way are not scientific. And with this idea, Popper transforms the philosophy of science. And at the same time, he undermined one of the central doctrines of logical positivism. The verification principle could no longer serve as the foundation of science, and the project of the Vienna Circle had encountered a serious challenge. And that leads us to our conclusion. The Vienna Circle attempted something extraordinary. They tried to transform philosophy into a scientific discipline grounded in logic and empirical evidence. In their view, philosophy should abandon metaphysics and focus on clarification of scientific language. For a time, this vision dominated analytic philosophy, but the project soon faced the internal criticism of thinkers that we just discussed, such as Karl Popper. And outside of analytic philosophy, many continental philosophers reacted strongly against this movement. Thinkers in phenomenology, existentialism, and later, critical theory, believed that the Vienna Circle had eliminated precisely the questions that make philosophy important. Questions about meaning, about human existence, about society and history. In other words, the attempt to eliminate metaphysics did not end the philosophical debate, but it will soon intensify it. In the next episode, we will explore what happens when the scientific conception of philosophy confronts a radically different view of thought, a view that insisted that philosophy must confront the deepest question of being itself. To understand that conflict, we will turn next to one of the most controversial philosophers of the 20th century, Martin Heidegger. In the clash between Carnap and Heidegger, would become one of the most defining battles between analytic and continental philosophy. And also, it provides us with a pivot for this series. Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Popular Philosophy. If you found this episode to be insightful or learned anything, please like, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to bringing you more content like this in the near future.